And he looked up and saw the rich men casting their gifts into the treasury. And he saw also a certain poor widow casting in 2 mites. And he said, Of truth I say to you, that this poor widow has cast in more than they all. For all these have of their abundance cast into the offerings of God. But she of her penury has cast in all the living she had. And as some spoke of the temple, how it was adorned with goodly stones and gifts, he said, As for these things that you behold, the days will come, in the which there will not be left one stone upon the other, that will not be thrown down. And they asked him, saying, Master, but when will these things be? And what sign will there be when these things will come to pass? And he said, Take heed that you be not deceived, for many will come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and the time draws near. Go therefore not after them. When you will hear of wars and commotions, be not terrified, for these things must first come to pass, but the end is not by and by. Then he said to them, Nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and great earthquakes will be in divers places, and famines, and pestilences, and fearful sights, and great signs will there be from heaven. But before all these, they will lay their hands on you, and persecute you, delivering you up into the synagogues, and into prisons, being brought before kings and rulers for my name's sake. And it will turn to you for a testimony. Settle it therefore in your hearts, not to meditate before what you will answer, for I will give you a mouth and wisdom, which all your adversaries will not be able to gainsay nor resist. And you will be betrayed both by parents, and brethren, and kinsfolks, and friends, and some of you will they cause to be put to death. And you will be hated of all men for my name's sake. But there will not a hair of your head perish. In your patience you possess your souls. And when you will see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then you know that desolation is near. Then let them that are in Judea flee to the mountains, and let them that are in the midst of it depart out, and let not them that are in the countries enter thereinto. For these be the days of vengeance, that all things that are written may be fulfilled. But woe to them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. For there will be great distress in the land, and wrath upon this people. And they will fall by the edge of the sword, and will be led away captive into all nations. And Jerusalem will be trodden down of the Gentiles, until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. And there will be signs in the sun, and in the moon, and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations, with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring, men's hearts failing them for fear, and for looking after those things that are coming on the earth, for the powers of heaven will be shaken. And then will they see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. And when these things begin to come to pass, then look up and lift up your heads, for your redemption draws near. And he spoke to them a parable. Behold the fig tree, and all the trees. When they now shoot forth, you see and know of yourselves that summer is now near at hand. So likewise you, when you see these things come to pass, know that the kingdom of God is near at hand. Truly I say to you, this generation will not pass away till all be fulfilled. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will not pass away. And take heed to yourselves, lest at any time your hearts be overcharged with surfeiting and drunkenness and cares of this life, and so that day come upon you unawares. For as a snare will it come on all them that dwell on the face of the whole earth. Watch therefore, and pray always, that you may be accounted worthy to escape all these things that will come to pass, and to stand before the Son of Man. And in the daytime he was teaching in the temple, and at night he went out, and abode in the mount that is called the Mount of Olives. And all the people came early in the morning to him in the temple, for to hear him. Now the feast of unleavened bread drew near, that is called the Passover. And the chief priests and scribes sought how they might kill him, for they feared the people. Then Satan entered into Judas, surnamed Iscariot, being of the number of the 12. And he went his way, and communed with the chief priests and captains, how he might betray him to them. And they were glad, and covenanted to give him money. And he promised, and sought opportunity to betray him to them in the absence of the multitude. Then came the day of unleavened bread, when the Passover must be killed. And he sent Peter and John, saying, Go and prepare us the Passover, that we may eat. And they said to him, Where will you that we prepare? And he said to them, Behold, when you are entered into the city, there will a man meet you, bearing a pitcher of water. Follow him into the house where he enters in. And you will say to the good man of the house, The master says to you, Where is the guest chamber, where I will eat the Passover with my disciples? And he will show you a large upper room furnished. There make ready. And they went and found as he had said, and they made ready the Passover. And when the hour was come, he sat down, and the 12 apostles with him. And he said to them, With desire I have desired to eat this Passover with you before I suffer. For I say to you, I will not any more eat thereof, until it be fulfilled in the kingdom of God. And he took the cup and gave thanks, and said, Take this, and divide it among yourselves. For I say to you, I will not drink of the fruit of the vine, until the kingdom of God will come. And he took bread and gave thanks, and broke it, and gave to them, saying, This is my body that is given for you. This do in remembrance of me. Likewise also the cup after supper, saying, This cup is the New Testament in my blood, that is shed for you. But, behold, the hand of him that betrays me is with me on the table. And truly the Son of Man goes, as it was determined. But woe to that man by whom he is betrayed. And they began to inquire among themselves, which of them it was that should do this thing. And there was also a strife among them, which of them should be accounted the greatest. And he said to them, The kings of the Gentiles exercise lordship over them, and they that exercise authority upon them are called benefactors. But you will not be so. But he that is greatest among you, let him be as the younger, and he that is chief, as he that does serve. For whether is greater, he that sits at meat, or he that serves? Is not he that sits at meat? But I am among you as he that serves. You are they that have continued with me in my temptations. And I appoint to you a kingdom, as my Father has appointed to me, that you may eat and drink at my table in my kingdom, and sit on thrones judging the 12 tribes of Israel. And the Lord said, Simon, Simon, behold, Satan has desired to have you, that he may sift you as wheat. But I have prayed for you, that your faith fail not. And when you are converted, strengthen your brethren. And he said to him, Lord, I am ready to go with you, both into prison and to death. And he said, I tell you, Peter, the cock will not crow this day, before that you will thrice deny that you know me. And he said to them, When I sent you without purse and scrip and shoes, did you lack anything? And they said, Nothing. Then he said to them, But now he that has a purse, let him take it, and likewise his scrip. And he that has no sword, let him sell his garment and buy one. For I say to you, that this that is written must be accomplished in me. And he was reckoned among the transgressors, for the things concerning me have an end. And they said, Lord, behold, here are 2 swords. And he said to them, It is enough. And he came out and went, as he wont, to the Mount of Olives, and his disciples also followed him. And when he was at the place, he said to them, Pray that you enter not into temptation. And he was withdrawn from them about a stone's cast, and kneeled down and prayed, saying, Father, if you be willing, remove this cup from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but yours be done. And there appeared an angel to him from heaven, strengthening him. And being in agony, he prayed more earnestly. And his sweat was as it were great drops of blood falling down to the ground. And when he rose up from prayer, and was come to his disciples, he found them sleeping for sorrow. And he said to them, Why do you sleep? Rise and pray, lest you enter into temptation. And while he yet spoke, behold, a multitude, and he that was called Judas, one of the 12, went before them, and drew near to Jesus to kiss him. But Jesus said to him, Judas, you betray the Son of Man with a kiss? When they which were about him saw what would follow, they said to him, Lord, will we smite with the sword? And one of them smote the servant of the high priest, and cut off his right ear. And Jesus answered and said, Suffer thus far. And he touched the ear, and healed him. Then Jesus said to the chief priests, and captains of the temple, and the elders that were come to him, Be come out as against a thief, with swords and staves? When I was daily with you in the temple, you stretched forth no hands against me, but this is your hour, in the power of darkness. Then they took him, and led him, and brought him into the high priest's house, and Peter followed afar off. And when they had kindled a fire in the midst of the hall, and were set down together, Peter sat down among them. But a certain maid beheld him as he sat by the fire, and earnestly looked upon him, and said, This man was also with him. And he denied him, saying, Woman, I know him not. And after a little while another saw him, and said, You are also of them. And Peter said, Man, I am not. And about the space of 1 hour after, another confidently affirmed, saying, Of a truth this fellow also was with him, for he is a Galilean. And Peter said, Man, I know not what you say. And immediately, while he yet spoke, the cock crew. And the Lord turned and looked upon Peter. And Peter remembered the word of the Lord, how he had said to him, Before the cock crow, you will deny me thrice. And Peter went out and wept bitterly. And the men that held Jesus mocked him and smote him. And when they had blindfolded him, they struck him on the face, and asked him, saying, Prophesy, who is it that smote you? And many other things blasphemously they spoke against him. And as soon as it was day, the elders of the people and the chief priests and the scribes came together, and led him into their council, saying, Are you the Christ? Tell us. And he said to them, If I tell you, you will not believe. And if I ask you, you will not answer me, nor let me go. Hereafter will the Son of Man sit on the right hand of the power of God. Then they all said, Are you then the Son of God? And he said to them, You say that I am. And they said, What need we any further witness? For we ourselves have heard of his own mouth.